Back when Yuma Ano was just a bored salaryman, his days felt totally empty and lacked any real joy. But everything changed when monsters started appearing and tearing through the city. While everyone else was panicking, he decided this was the perfect chance to finally have some fun. He stands before a massive black tower where a high demon is supposedly waiting. To him, taking on the demon race is just a high-stakes battle of wits and skills. Yuma tips his hat with a smirk. It's time to play. It all traces back to a year ago, when dungeons suddenly began appearing all over the globe. Humanity was defenseless against creatures that modern weapons couldn't even leave a scratch on. That's when someone realized the monsters were identical to the ones in a popular MMORPG called Vanaheim Online. Soon after, certain people started awakening as players who could actually fight back. They got assigned job classes and teamed up in guilds to reclaim the world. One of the biggest threats they face are the 5 high demons, like Belzephal. The Order of the Radiant Spear, a top-tier guild, is currently charging his throne room. The mage girl is already dreaming about the fame and the victory feast they'll have afterward. The warrior leads the charge with their strongest skills. Belzephal doesn't even move, just counters with a massive blast of purple energy. The mage girl is stunned, as their power is completely nullified. A single hit sends the entire guild flying back in agony. The warrior realizes this guy is on a completely different level from anything they fought before. Belzephal thinks it would be a waste to kill them now, and decides to let them entertain him. The scene suddenly shifts, and the guild finds themselves in a literal volcanic wasteland. The warrior stands on the edge of a cliff, staring down at rivers of lava in total shock. Belzephal looms over him, mocking how easily humans are fooled by what they see. The warrior is paralyzed, convinced they're all gonna die here. Out of nowhere, Yuma appears with a nonchalant grin. He stares right at the high demon and compliments him on how well made the illusion is. He tips his hat, asking if the demon can project this trick anywhere. Belzephal is genuinely surprised that a mere insect could see through his magic. The volcanic world shatters, revealing they're still in the throne room. The warrior is completely lost, wondering when this kid even got there. Yuma is already busy checking out the demon's collection of rare items. He finds some interesting armor and wonders if he can take it for a spin. He wanders over to a pedestal, holding a glowing, swirling orb. The warrior shouts at him to stop messing around before he gets himself killed. Yuma just tells him that when things get serious, that's exactly when you need to make room for some fun. Belzephal isn't amused and releases a terrifying surge of dark power. He reactivates the volcanic illusion, making the heat feel more real than ever. The warrior is on his knees, unable to handle the intense temperature. Yuma rubs his chin, claiming he's finally figured out the gimmick. He reaches down and picks up a glowing red rock that's supposed to be molten hot. He explains that the demon is just forcing everyone to share the same sensory experience. He holds up the purple orb, revealing it's a demonic heritage item that's powering the whole show. Belzephal isn't impressed, calling the whole thing a side attraction before declaring that it's time for them to turn to dust and vanish. Yuma Ano just smirks, deciding that, since he's already there, he might as well join in on the fun. He uses his skill Playful Spirit on the orb, which lets him draw out the hidden potential of whatever he's targeting. Suddenly, multiple copies of Yuma appear, and he mockingly asks the demon if he can guess which one is the real deal. Belzephal is furious that his own power was hijacked, vowing to erase every trace of the intruder with his magic. He gathers his strength and lets out a massive, blinding burst of energy to clear the room. The blast tears through the illusions, but none of them seem to be the real thing. The actual Yuma is already standing safely behind him with the warrior, pointing out that the demon missed every single shot. Yuma asks the demon who's really the one failing to see the essence of things here. He explains that magic on that scale has a long cooldown, and the demon was just using illusions to stall for time. The demon is insulted, but Yuma doesn't care. He's more concerned about the fact that he forgot to bring a weapon. He turns to the shocked warrior and asks if he can borrow his spear for a second. With his mimicry skill, the spear starts glowing with green energy as it copies the warrior's weapon. Then he breaks out Divine Dice, a skill that triggers different random effects depending on what he rolls. A massive, glowing spear descends from the clouds like a bolt of lightning. It pierces straight through the demon's magic circle, leaving him completely defenseless. The impact is absolute, engulfing the demon in a blinding explosion of power. As Belzephal begins to disintegrate into shards, he can't believe he's being taken out by a move like this. Yuma stands there nonchalantly, saying the illusion battle was actually a good time and that fighting isn't worth it if you don't enjoy it. The warrior can only stare in disbelief, realizing this random kid just soloed a high demon all by himself. He desperately wants to know what kind of job this guy has, and a status window pops up to give him the answer. His jaw drops when he sees the unique job class listed right there, Gamer. He's never even heard of a class like that in the history of the Awakening. This is where the story truly begins, flashing back to a time when Yuma's life was nothing but monotony. He was just a man who knew nothing about games or having fun, spending his days as a tired salaryman. His eyes were dead, and his routine was an endless cycle of work and exhaustion. But now he's awakened to the ultimate job of gamer, and he's decided to turn every dungeon into his personal playground. Let's rewind to a year ago. It's just another quiet night in the city. Yuma Ano looks like he's about to fall over. The guy is completely drained. Back at the office, things are as bad as they look. His boss, Totsuka, is already on his case. Totsuka slams his head onto the desk. No mercy, even with the guy clearly struggling. Yuma tries to explain he's hitting his limit, but the boss doesn't want to hear it. Totsuka just stares him down with that work harder look. He's a total nightmare. This was Yuma's life. 25 years old and already a corporate slave. His only way out was a game called Vanaheim Online. It was his whole world. Millions of people were hooked on it. The game had become a total social phenomenon. The world was alive, filled with stories and characters that felt real. You had to use actual strategy. It wasn't just mindless grinding. You needed a plan and a team. He loved everything about it, the classes, the freedom, and the growth. Every spare second was spent building his character into a legend. In that world, he wasn't a slave. He was finally living by his own will. Every night, the headset went on and the office stress just vanished. Look at that smile. It's the only time he actually looks happy. But reality always finds a way to ruin things. Back at the office, Totsuka catches him. Turns out the boss plays the game too, and he's seen Yuma online. Yuma freezes. This can't be good. Totsuka demands to see his account right now. He snatches the phone away. Now Yuma's officially working every single day, including weekends. The boss laughs. He's going to strip the character of all his rare equipment. Yuma begs him to stop. That account is the most precious thing he has left. Everything turns dark. Account deleted. Just like that, his world is gone. His friends are still messaging him, wondering why he suddenly vanished from the raid. He collapses in bed that night, wishing the whole world would just end. Something cracks. The next morning, his life is about to take a weird turn. He still shows up for work like a good little company dog, force of habit. He's walking in a daze, worried about his salary getting cut again. Then he looks up. This isn't the office. He's standing in a cold stone corridor. He runs to a large gate and tries to force it open. It's solid. He touches the wood and freezes. It looks exactly like the doors from his game. He hears something and looks back in fear. He's not alone in here. A Glainfang. He knows that face, but seeing it in person is a different story. The creature doesn't wait. It lunges straight off the wall at him. A sharp slash catches him. This isn't game logic, that's real blood. Yuma clutches his chest, gasping. The pain is very, very real. He realizes he's going to die if he stays there. He turns and bolts. It's a desperate chase through the dark. The monster is right on his heels. He hits a fork in the road. There's no time to check the map. He just picks a path and prays. No time to hesitate now. He makes it through another door and collapses against it, lungs burning. He looks at the gate. It's identical to the ones in VO. He looks up, and there it is, a Glainfang. The creature's eyes are glowing with a lethal intent. He can't believe it. A dungeon from his favorite game has actually manifested in the real world. He notices a glowing light on a nearby pedestal. Resting there is an old, ornate book. The title reads, Ludian's Journal of 1,000 Nights. He's never heard of this item before. It seems to be the diary of an NPC who traveled the world of VO. It's a completely new element that wasn't in the game. He flips through the pages and finds stories about a poisonous mushroom hot pot party in a witch's forest. It's bizarre. The entries get even weirder, detailing things like a grand fishing duel with a massive monster. There's even a story about being banned from a rogue guild for cheating at a card game. This Ludian was a wild one. The guy actually laughs. He's amazed that anyone could be this free and lead such an interesting life. He feels like an idiot now for spending his whole life just doing whatever his toxic boss told him to do. Looking at the fun Ludian had, he realizes how much he wanted to live like that too. He's genuinely jealous. A tear falls, as he admits he wants to be more than just a corporate slave. He wants to be free. Suddenly, the journal begins to glow with an intense, golden light. It's reacting to him. He stands back, watching in awe as the book starts to hover and emit a rainbow-colored energy. The energy surrounds him, and he feels a sudden heat surging through his entire body. The light intensifies, and to his shock, the bleeding wound on his chest begins to close and heal completely. A system window appears in front of him. You have awakened as a player. The notifications keep coming. He's obtained a hidden job, Ancient Joker, also known as the Legendary Gamer. His appearance completely changes into a stylized outfit with a green scarf and a feathered hat. He's stunned. He pulls up his stats. Being a gamer is a job that didn't even exist in the original Vanaheim Online. A loud crash echoes through the room. The wooden gate is being smashed from the other side. He spins around, knowing the Glainfang has finally tracked him down. It's coming right for him. He wonders if being a player means he can actually fight back, even without a weapon. The gate splinters as the monster bursts through, lunging with its claws out. He knows there's no running now. It's either defeat the beast or die right here. If this really is the game, then he knows the rules better than anyone. He summons his skill cards, ready to win. A spiked beast growls, looming over Yuma Anno in the dark dungeon. Yuma stays calm, realizing that if this world follows game logic, there's a specific way to fight back. He grabs a rock and hurls it at the monster to test its reactions. The creature easily dodges the projectile and leaps into the air with a snarl. Yuma smirks, knowing a simple stone was never meant to do real damage. He crushes the remaining fragments in his palm, prepping his skill. A series of critical hits explode against the beast, shredding its health. The monster collapses to the floor, defeated by the sudden burst of power. Yuma collects a sharp fragment from the remains, boosting his attack power. He wastes no time, slicing through another monster with his new weapon. The creature disintegrates into pixels as the battle ends. A notification pops up. Yuma has officially leveled up. He feels the true strength of a gamer surging through him. He approaches a massive gate, determined to find a way out alive. A swirling purple portal marks the entrance to the next area. Elsewhere, the guild leader of Glorious Hawk wears a sinister grin. Yuma continues clearing out more Glide Fangs along his path. Thanks to his level up, their predictable patterns make them an easy target. He eventually reaches a set of heavy doors, suspecting the boss room lies ahead. A voice suddenly calls out his name, stopping him in his tracks. He looks down to see someone in heavy leather boots approaching. Yuma nearly jumps out of his skin at the unexpected intrusion. It's Totsuka, an old coworker, smiling like they're just meeting at the office. Totsuka laughs, bragging about becoming a level 6 warrior while mocking the danger. Yuma stays silent, sensing something is off about the man's sudden friendliness. The guy drops the act, telling Yuma he's going to be the bait for the room's boss. Totsuka loses his temper, shouting that his orders are absolute. He delivers a hard kick, sending Yuma tumbling straight into the boss chamber. Yuma gasps for air as the heavy doors slam shut behind him. A massive, glowing-eyed Glindfang boss towers over him in the darkness. The beast lunges forward, its giant claws ready to strike. A blast of purple energy narrowly misses as Yuma scrambles to dodge. Totsuka leans against the wall outside, smugly waiting for the end. He thinks the subordinate's only job is to die so the boss can get a clear shot. A massive tail whip sends Yuma crashing into the stone floor. He grinds his teeth, refusing to die for a pathetic guy like that. A blinding light suddenly pierces through the gloom of the chamber. As Yuma struggles to his feet, a golden spirit manifests before him. The spectral old man tells him he's the chosen one. Yuma stares up in shock, wondering who this entity could be. The figure dismisses his questions, noting that he's already become a player. He offers his strength to Yuma, telling him to start enjoying the game more. Outside the chamber, Totsuka grows restless, sensing that something is very wrong with the sudden silence inside. The massive Glindfang boss has completely frozen in place, its predatory instinct replaced by an eerie stillness. Totsuka snaps, screaming through the doorway for Yuma to stop talking to himself and just get eaten already. Yuma Anno looks toward the entrance with a cold, unwavering focus as he calls out the coward's name. Totsuka flinches, his confidence crumbling as he realizes the weak man he once knew has vanished. Radiating a powerful green aura, Yuma declares that he is officially done being anyone's subordinate. Yuma Anno is on his knees, looking pretty worn out. The wizard spirit companion appears as a giant spectral head, offering to lend a hand and show him how skills are really used. A massive Glindfang lunges from the shadows, its teeth bared for the kill. Yuma activates a skill, and a bright green light suddenly pulses out from him. The giant monster freezes, completely caught off guard by the flare. The spirit head floats over Yuma, keeping an eye on the situation. The spirit tells Yuma that, to a beast like that, he probably looks like nothing more than a lowly minion. The Glindfang lets out a low, menacing growl as it looms over him. Further back, a man in blue armor watches the fight. The spirit tells Yuma it's time to deal with him. Yuma looks back at the man, hesitant for a second. The wizard spirit isn't impressed, dismissing the guy as just another pawn in someone else's game. Yuma realizes he doesn't have to deal with the nightmares of his old job anymore. He's a player now, and he's got a smirk to prove it. He stands tall, deciding right then that he's going to live his life however he wants. The man in blue, Totsuka, starts screaming, telling Yuma to just hurry up and get eaten already. Yuma doesn't even flinch. He prepares a skill and lets his former boss know he isn't taking orders anymore. Totsuka is stunned, still trying to pull rank and talk about performance reviews in the middle of a dungeon. Green magic starts gathering in Yuma's hand. He triggers his bluff skill, ready to mess with his boss's head. A burst of light hits Totsuka, making him shield his eyes. Suddenly, a giant, terrifying version of the director appears right behind him. The spectral boss starts screaming at Totsuka about his work ethic. Totsuka nearly jumps out of his skin, terrified that his actual boss is standing right there. He starts groveling immediately, trying to blame everything on Yuma. Before he can finish, he gets clocked right in the jaw. The boss monster slams its massive arm down right where Totsuka was standing. The impact sends the guy flying into the wall, while Yuma just watches. The Glaive-Fang turns its glowing red eyes back on Yuma. Yuma charges forward with his sword drawn, telling his battered boss that he won't have to die today. The spirit head lets out a laugh, clearly impressed by the move. Totsuka is a mess, crying and begging Yuma to save him. Yuma isn't feeling charitable. He just tells the guy to get lost. Totsuka doesn't need to be told twice, he bolts for the exit. With the distraction gone, Yuma lunges at the giant beast. He lands a massive finishing blow that starts to dissolve the monster into light. The wizard spirit companion congratulates him on clearing the boss. A series of screens pop up, showing Yuma jumped up to level 5 and unlocked a new skill called mimicry. The entire dungeon starts to crumble and fade away. Yuma finds himself standing alone in the middle of a modern city street. He looks around, a bit stunned that he actually made it out, but the nightmare isn't over. He looks up to see winged monsters circling the skyscrapers. A giant news screen nearby is blaring about the unbelievable situation happening everywhere. The report confirms the worst. Dungeons and monsters are appearing all across the globe. The news reports confirm a massive new landmass has appeared out at sea, along with creatures never before seen in any game. Panicked people in the city look up at a giant monitor, unable to believe what they're hearing about the world ending. As the crowd descends into chaos, everyone is left wondering what is going to happen to the world. Amidst the confusion, Yuma Anno stands tall in his adventurer gear, finding the whole situation pretty interesting. The wizard spirit companion floats nearby, commenting that he's starting to look like the right man for the job. Yuma thanks the spirit for saving him earlier, still wondering exactly who his floating mentor is. The spirit points a finger and formally introduces himself as Ludian. The name rings a bell for Yuma. He remembers Ludian as the author of a legendary book from the game. Ludian encourages him to stop worrying about the world's crisis and start enjoying the game that has become reality. Yuma looks up at the towering buildings, his eyes landing on a specific spire that looks oddly familiar. He recognizes the glowing structure as a dungeon from the beta test and gets a sudden spark of inspiration. He envisions the long, marble corridors and the rewards waiting at the end. Yuma thinks that if he heads there now, he could really have some fun with the secret knowledge he possesses. The goddess statue stands serenely in the light, while a dark shadow with glowing red eyes watches from below. Yuma and his spirit buddy stand before a massive stone gate. This is the tutorial dungeon. The wizard spirit companion asks what they're even doing in a place like this now. Yuma walks up to a side wall. He knows there's a sealed room and a hidden treasure chest right here. The spirit's ears perk up. It's known as the goddess's hidden treasure. Apparently, nobody's been able to get into it since the game launched. You can see the loot, but a barrier keeps everyone out. It's a legendary item chest, and the spirit has always been curious about it. Yuma just gives a smug look and says he has a plan to crack it open. The spirit tells him to go for it and have fun. Then the little guy just bails, saying he's gonna go take a nap. Yuma's annoyed, watching him vanish. The dude just comes and goes whenever it's convenient. Yuma heads inside the Labyrinth of Beginnings. A glowing goddess greets him, calling him a hero who fights to protect the world. Yuma listens to her pitch, realizing the dialogue is a perfect match for the game's script. She tells him his goal is to learn how to fight and find the exit. She offers him her blessing as she floats toward him. Seeing her in the flesh, Yuma admits she actually does look pretty divine. She pulls up a status screen to explain how HP and MP work. Yuma's already wandering off, so she has to yell at him to actually listen. She tells him to open the chest in front of him, but he's already done it. It's a basic bronze sword. Yuma's unimpressed since he's already got one, and the goddess tells him to show some gratitude. Suddenly, her tone shifts. An enemy has appeared. A little fire monster pops up. She tells him to ready his weapon and stay focused. Yuma just turns around and one-shots the thing. The goddess is stunned. He was supposed to struggle a little. She tries to act professional, congratulating him on his first kill. But then Yuma starts slashing at the air, or rather, the room itself. He's straight up attacking the dungeon walls. The goddess loses it, screaming at him to stop damaging the sacred dungeon. Yuma just smirks. She's starting to get angry, and if he can make her even madder, he might trigger the hidden raid boss of level 0, the Black Goddess of Wrath. The goddess starts glowing with a dark energy as her temper flares. Seeing her up close, Yuma realizes she really does look like the boss from the lore. She was finally freed from the eternal prison, and she's not happy about her current job. When she's defeated, she drops the Crown of Thorns, which is the key to that sealed treasure room. That eternal prison mentioned in the game's lore is located right here in the tutorial dungeon. Yuma looks back at her and asks if she knows something about the treasure chest. She gets all sweaty and nervous, trying to change the subject back to skills. But then, a very ungoddess-like smirk crosses her face. She snaps, calling him a little brat and demanding he listen to her. Yuma's thrilled. It's working exactly like he planned. Turns out, she's already miserable from having to repeat this same tutorial every single day. She goes full boss mode, eyes glowing red. She tells him he's not getting away with disrespecting her. She strikes out with a shadowy claw. The real tutorial is finally starting. Yuma barely blocks the heavy strike, the force of it rattling his bones. The goddess isn't stopping there, following up with a flurry of shadowy slashes that send him flying back. He skids across the floor, admitting that this is definitely the power of a raid boss. At his current level, he's totally outmatched. She lunges forward with incredible speed. Yuma realizes in that split second that he's got nowhere to run. A direct hit connects, and blood sprays as he's slashed across the chest. The goddess lets out a maniacal laugh, clearly having the time of her life. She's been itching to do this to someone for ages. She rants about being stuck in this tutorial over 8,000 times. All that boredom has turned into pure, murderous rage. She stands over him with a terrifying, bloodied grin, enjoying every second of his pain. But as she prepares to finish him off, the dark energy suddenly flickers and dies out. Yuma stands back up with a confident smirk, holding the crown of thorns. He managed to use his bluff skill to steal it right before the final blow landed. He holds the prickly crown up, the key to the hidden treasure he's been after. The goddess is completely baffled, realizing she's been played. She has no idea when he even managed to get close enough to take it. Yuma just laughs it off, saying that was actually a pretty fun detour. He gives his hat a polite tip, crown in hand. Now that he's got what he came for, he's heading straight for the secret loot. Yuma stands before a massive, glowing stone door in the depths of a dark dungeon. He holds up a crown of thorns, which begins to hum with an intense, magical glow. With a heavy rumble, the ancient doors finally slide open, revealing the path forward. Yuma is stoked. The trial is over, and the doors to the hidden chamber are finally open. Inside, he finds a golden treasure chest glowing brilliantly atop a stone pedestal. This is it, the goddess's hidden treasure. He can't wait to see what kind of loot is waiting for him. He pulls out a gold ring, and a system notification confirms it's a legendary item, the Ring of the Goddess's Protection. It's a massive find. This thing can automatically restore his full HP if he's about to kick the bucket. But then, something else catches his eye. Something tucked away in the shadows of the room. In the deepest part of the dungeon, he finds a woman lying unconscious on the cold floor. She lets out a soft groan, slowly starting to regain consciousness. She sits up, looking completely dazed and wondering where she even is. Memories start rushing back. She remembers being so angry that she completely lost control of herself. She's trying to figure things out when she hears a splash and notices she's not alone. Yuma is just casually taking a dip in the fountain like it's his personal swimming pool. The goddess is absolutely livid, screaming at him to explain what the hell he's doing. He's just chillaxing, saying he's always wanted to try swimming in this spring and it feels great. She's about to keep yelling, but then she stops and looks over at the treasure chest. She realizes he managed to open the seal, but he didn't actually take the loot. She's totally baffled he opened the room, but left the legendary ring untouched. Yuma tells her he figured it was something important to her, so he decided not to take it. He notes that while the ring is clearly old, it's been cared for so well he almost missed it at first. This triggers a memory for her, taking her back to a much brighter time in the past. In a flashback, we see a divine artifact being forged in the heart of a temple. It was a great day. She and her sisters had just finished making their matching rings of protection. They were so happy back then, showing off their handiwork and celebrating their bond. To her, that ring was a symbol of the freedom she cherished before everything changed. They used to dream about wearing them and going off to explore every corner of the world together. But eventually, she felt she didn't need it anymore and sealed it away, thinking those days were over. She had accepted that she'd never wear it again, and that her life would never be the same. Yuma sees right through her, asking if she's been forced to play the tutorial guide this whole time. He says he gets how tough that is, since he used to be a corporate slave himself. He tells her she should try having a bit more fun with her role, instead of just following the script. Whether it's building a hidden maze, or just stepping outside for once, he tells her to live for herself. He reaches out his hand, telling her that she doesn't have to stay chained down to this place. His words really hit home, making her realize she doesn't have to be a prisoner of her own duties. She holds out the ring to him, insisting that she wants him to be the one to have it now. Yuma is a bit surprised, but she's adamant it's fine, and she really wants him to take it. She gives him a genuine smile, saying he really helped her realize something important today. Yuma accepts the gift and gets ready to head out, promising to drop by and hang out again soon. As he's leaving, she warns him that the outside world is full of enemies and to stay sharp. He stops and asks why the world ended up in such a mess, but she honestly has no idea. The goddess explains that she was just minding her own business in the game world when a mysterious voice suddenly brought her here. Yuma figures that since they're both stuck in this reality now, he might as well try to enjoy himself as much as possible. The goddess gives a playful smile, deciding that she's going to do exactly the same thing. Back at the beginner tutorial area, some new players are standing around in total shock at the scene before them. There's a sign posted where the goddess should be, saying she's currently out and to just grab a weapon and figure it out themselves. The players are losing their minds, laughing at the fact that the goddess just abandoned her post to go do whatever she wants. Yuma is standing by the exit with the wizard spirit companion, looking pretty satisfied with how things played out. He asks the spirit where they should head next, now that the tutorial is basically broken and the world is wide open. A giant news screen nearby catches his attention, mentioning a mysterious new continent that's just appeared worldwide. Yuma points at the screen, deciding that the new continent sounds like the most exciting place to start his journey. The wizard spirit companion cheers him on, telling him the whole world is waiting for him to play to his heart's content. Yuma gives a confident smile, ready to dive into whatever crazy challenges this new reality throws at him. Suddenly, his phone starts buzzing, with a call from an old gaming buddy named Suwa. Yuma's expression instantly hardens when he hears Suwa's voice on the other end, desperately screaming for help. Yuma starts running, asking what's wrong, while Suwa explains he's trapped in what was supposed to be a simple beginner dungeon. Suwa is in tears, saying he's struggling so much he can barely move and he's about to be killed. Yuma tells him to hold on as he sprints through the city, demanding to know where Suwa is located. Suwa and Yuma were hardcore players back in their old game, and Suwa was even one of the top-ranked guys. There's no way someone with his skills should be having trouble in a beginner dungeon, yet a massive monster is closing in on him. Yuma looks serious, wondering what the hell could have happened to turn a low-level area into such a death trap. Yuma dives headfirst into the darkness, descending into the depths of a cavernous pit. He rushes through the tunnel, noting that for a beginner dungeon, the atmosphere is strangely oppressive. His spirit guide floats alongside him, wondering why their friend Suwa is having such a hard time in a place like this. Yuma is more worried about their connection, questioning if their friendship can survive in a world that's changed so much. He searches the shadows, hoping he isn't too late to step in and help. Suddenly, he spots a familiar figure huddled against a rock and calls out to him. Suwa jumps, letting out a panicked shriek before realizing it's just Yuma. The guy is shaking, barely able to process that help has finally arrived. Suwa admits he thought a low-level place like this would be easy, but the reality is hitting him hard. Yuma warns him that things aren't the same as they were in the game, and there are no guarantees anymore. He suggests they head for the exit, but Suwa's mind drifts back to how they used to clear dungeons together. In his memory, Suwa was a stalwart tank, shielding the team from massive beasts with a heavy shield. Yuma would swoop in with a counterattack, their movements perfectly synchronized in the virtual world. They'd celebrate their victories with a high five, riding the high of years spent playing together. Back then, clearing a dungeon felt like a game they'd never lose. And the best part was, always the treasure waiting at the end of the road. Finding a longsword +1 was a massive win, a boost to their stats that made them feel invincible. They lived for the dream of outclassing higher level gear with simple, well-enhanced equipment. Suwa grips his weapon in the present, hoping that old feeling will come back. He offers Yuma some copper sand, calling it useless low-level junk. Yuma takes it anyway, joking that it's at least pretty to look at, but his smile fades when a massive shadow falls over them. A beast looms behind them, its presence far more menacing than any mob they ever fought on a screen. The monster growls, eyes glowing with a feral intensity. Yuma tells Suwa to leave it to him, and takes the creature down with a single, glowing slash. Suwa can only mumble a thanks, looking dejected as he stares at the ground. Yuma watches him, sensing that his friend is mentally unraveling. They finally reach the massive, iron-bound doors of the boss room. Yuma asks if he's ready, knowing that defeating this boss is their only ticket out. The boss emerges a hulking, armored monstrosity with glowing eyes. It lets out a deafening roar that echoes through the chamber. Suwa tries to psych himself up, desperate to prove he can still fight. He screams and charges at the beast, his sword held high. Yuma tries to stop him, but the guy is already in too deep. Suwa puts everything into his strike, shouting with all the bravado he can muster. But his blade just shatters against the monster's shell, leaving him completely vulnerable. The boss raises its massive claw, ready to crush him like an insect. Yuma steps in just in time, deflecting the killing blow with a powerful swing of his own. He manages to knock the beast back and checks on his friend, who's slumped on the floor. Suwa is broken, whispering that his weapon is useless and that he's going to die. Yuma tries to snap him out of it, but the trauma is taking hold. The guy finally lets out a guttural scream of pure, unadulterated terror. He realizes these aren't just mobs in a game anymore. This is reality, and it's absolutely terrifying. Suwa is trembling, realizing that these monsters aren't just pixels anymore, they're massive, and the stench of death is all too real. A heavy blow catches him across the face, and the sharp sting of pain reminds him that there are no respawns here. He breaks down in tears, screaming that even if the dungeon looks the same as the game, the experience is completely different and terrifying. Yuma stands his ground between his broken friend and the looming beast, assessing the situation as the monster prepares to strike. He pulls out the jar of copper sand he picked up earlier, his mind already working on a plan. As the monster lets out a bone-chilling roar, Yuma calmly tells Suwa to stay back while he handles this. He draws his blade, ordering Suwa to find cover before the real fight begins. The spirit watching from the sidelines chuckles, realizing Yuma used those basic materials as a clever distraction to buy his friend some time. The old man finds it amusing, noting that a bit of creativity in a fight can go a long way. Yuma engages the beast, but his basic copper sword barely makes a scratch on its toughened hide. He grits his teeth as his weapon bounces off, realizing that brute force won't be enough to pierce that armor. The floating spirit watches with interest, wondering how the boy plans to overcome such a massive defensive advantage. Yuma takes a moment to study the creature's thick plating and deadly pincers, looking for a weak point. He decides to stop playing fair and channels his energy, causing a strange glow to emanate from his hand. With a sudden burst of speed, he leaps high into the air, closing the distance in an instant. Suwa watches in horror, screaming for Yuma to get away before he gets himself killed. Yuma just tells him to keep his eyes open, a golden ring on his finger beginning to pulse with power. He reaches out towards the monster's reinforced shell, his hand wreathed in a shimmering magical aura. With a confident smirk, he triggers his skill Mimicry and prepares to turn the monster's own strengths against it. Yuma pulls up his skill screen. Mimicry level 1, he can copy a target's ability for exactly 15 seconds. His regular sword is useless against a shell this hard. He needs to fight fire with fire. He copies the monster's own giant claw and slams it right back into its face. He grits his teeth. 15 seconds isn't nearly enough time to finish this. The creature roars, exposing a soft, red, glowing patch on its chest. That's the opening he needs. One solid hit right there will end this fight. Yuma lunges forward, putting everything into one final strike. The blow connects, and the monster explodes into a shower of red light. His partner Suwa stands back in total shock. He can't believe what he just saw. The wizard spirit companion is impressed. It looks like Yuma's already mastered how to fight as a gamer. Yuma wipes the sweat from his brow. That was close, but it worked. He lets out a relieved sigh. He's actually getting the hang of this. The rewards start rolling in. He jumps up to level 9 and unlocks a new skill called Playful Spirit. They finally make it out of the dungeon. Suwa collapses, completely drained from the ordeal. Yuma wants to keep the team together, but Suwa's done. He's quitting the game for good. They've been partners since the beginning, and Yuma doesn't understand why he'd give up now. He remembers when things were simpler, and they could just laugh off their mistakes. But that last dungeon clear changed everything for Suwa. He realized he just can't handle the life or death pressure anymore. He admits watching Yuma fight was exciting, but he's just not built for it. Since the main server is down anyway, he's going to spend his time playing something less stressful. Yuma's eyes light up. He's got his sights set on the new continent everyone's talking about. Suwa recalls seeing an article about an expedition team being recruited for that exact place. Yuma pulls up the recruitment notice immediately. This is exactly what he's been waiting for. Suwa stands up to leave, giving him one final warning. Don't get yourself killed out there. They share a final fist bump before going their separate ways. Major guilds are already lining up for a spot on the Vanguard team, including the high-tier Glorious Hawk. Yuma checks the requirements. Applicants must be level 15 or higher. He clenches his fist. He needs to level up fast and find some decent gear. There's a treasury-type dungeon nearby. It's the perfect place to get everything he needs in one go. But the deadline is in just 2 days. He doesn't have a second to waste. Meanwhile, at the headquarters of the Takashiro Corporation, the guildmaster, Shoya Takashiro, stands before his members with a cold expression. He's about to announce the 2 members with the lowest contribution points in the guild. The unknown officer stands by as the names drop, Okuyama and Yoshi. They're at the bottom of the list. Shoya doesn't mince words. They're expelled from the guild and fired from the company effective immediately. The 2 men are stunned. They beg for another chance, but they're talking to a brick wall. He tells them their performance was pathetic. There are plenty of others waiting to take their spots. In his eyes, people who can't contribute are just worthless trash. He warns the remaining members to stay on their toes. Effort is the only thing that matters here. If they want to be part of the new continent expedition, they better take the next dungeon capture seriously. The unknown officer crumbles her ranking sheet in her hand. This place is cutthroat. Even after giving up sleep to train, she's still only in 3rd place. She needs to do better. Back at the headquarters of the Glorious Hawk Guild, Shoya Takashiro stares out at his members. In this new world, he knows that only those who strike first will survive. He announces his plan to dominate the dungeon market. He claims it's for the good of the world, but it's clear he's only out for himself. Everything he does is to realize his own twisted ideal of a perfect society. Yuma watches a clip of the announcement on his phone. Takashiro is a top-ranked player and a powerful company president, a dangerous combination. It turns out he's already running a massive guild. Yuma isn't the only one trying to get ahead in this game. Yuma heads to the treasury dungeon and sees that several other players have the same idea. The competition is already heating up. He spots a treasure hunter zombie wandering the halls. It's a low-level monster, but it can be a real pain if you're not careful. The thing keeps moving unless you crush its head first. Yuma draws his sword, ready to take it down. Suddenly, a massive gunshot rings out, blowing a hole straight through the zombie's chest. A blonde girl with a massive sniper rifle stands nearby, letting out a breath of relief. She's not here to play games. She mutters to herself about needing more kills. She's clearly on a mission to raise her standing in the guild. Yuma notices the zombie she shot is already getting back up. He shouts a warning, but it might be too late. In a flash, Yuma lunges forward and decapitates the monster before it can strike. He's not about to let a fellow player get hurt. He rushes over to check on her, but she's not exactly grateful for the help. She snaps at him for stealing her prey. This is Nijika Natsume, and she's desperate to meet her guild quota. As a member of the Glorious Hawk Guild, she's under immense pressure to perform or face the consequences. She glares at Yuma, her eyes full of frustration. In this guild, you're either at the top or you're nothing. Nijika Natsume gives Yuma a sharp look, telling him to back off and stop stealing her kills. Yuma Ano is caught off guard, claiming he was just trying to be helpful. One of the squad members yells for Nijika to hurry up, and she quickly follows them. Yuma watches them go, thinking it's kind of sad that people still have to deal with quotas even after becoming players. The little spirit asks if he's in a rush too, but Yuma's just here to do a little sightseeing. He takes a moment to admire the blue torches lighting the dungeon walls, noting the sense of history. Brushing his hand against the cold stone, Yuma says he really wants to enjoy these small details. The little spirit chuckles, remarking that he's really turned into a carefree wanderer. Further down the hall, the group comes face to face with a pair of skeletons. Nijika doesn't hesitate, leveling her rifle and locking onto the enemy. The leader tells everyone to stay focused, as their quota is to secure 10 enhanced weapons. Yuma, meanwhile, is just vibing with the atmosphere and the metallic smell of the dungeon. He stops and kneels down, having spotted something the others overlooked. It seems like he's starting to figure out the true nature of this dungeon. The rest of the crew finally breaks into the treasure room. They're thrilled to find power bows and steel lances with +1 enhancements. Another guy pops open a small chest, hoping for one more prize. Instead, it's just a bent dagger. He calls it absolute garbage and tosses it away in disgust. Yuma snatches the discarded blade before it even hits the ground. He actually likes the weird shape and thinks it could be useful in the right situation. The other guys just laugh at him, saying he'd be better off fighting with his hands. They tell him the good loot goes to the winners and that they're heading for the boss rewards next. Yuma doesn't care about the tier. To him, a weapon's value depends on how it's handled. The group charges into a large hall, ready for a fight. Yuma tests out his new find, slicing through a skeleton with surprising ease. He realizes the uneven balance of the dagger is actually a benefit. They arrive at the boss room, but the leader tells everyone to keep their guard up. Suddenly, a massive metal trap snaps shut on a soldier's leg. Two of them are pinned down, and Nijika rushes over as they realize they've been caught. They're in a panic, pleading with her to help them out. Nijika frantically looks for a switch to disable the mechanism, but a massive stone guardian rises up, blocking the way. It's a specialized unit designed to protect the boss room from intruders. Nijika fires a shot, hoping to take it out fast. The arrow just bounces right off its stone chest without doing a thing. She's horrified to see her weapon isn't making a dent. It hits her that this thing is built entirely for defense. Her current weapons just don't have the power to break through its heavy armor. That's when Yuma notices the switch is hidden right behind the guardian's back. He confirms it with Nijika, who looks at him in desperation. Yuma just smiles and fixes his hat, drawing his trash dagger for the first time. The guy on the ground thinks he's an idiot, screaming that a trash weapon won't do anything while telling Nijika to hurry. The little spirit chuckles, calling the guy on the floor a foolish brat who doesn't understand a thing before checking in with Yuma. Yuma agrees, looking down at the rusted blade and noting that every weapon has its uses. He triggers his playful spirit skill, unlocking a hidden trait that turns the bent dagger into a one-flash boomerang that never misses its target. Nijika Natsume is completely stunned, her mouth hanging open as she watches the transformation. With a sharp grin, Yuma tells them he's about to show off what he can really do. He throws the blade with perfect aim, watching it smash through the guardian and curve down to trigger the floor switch. The stone behemoth collapses, smoking and broken after taking the full force of the hit. Nijika can't believe her eyes. He managed to disable the trap and kill the guardian in a single, fluid strike. The boomerang arcs back perfectly into Yuma's waiting hand, as he admits he already knew about the traps. He explains that he's been scanning the area for danger since the moment they stepped inside. Holding the glowing blade up, Yuma reminds her that even useless items have potential, and now, they're ready for the boss. Two hunters are down on the floor, bleeding out from their legs after hitting a trap. Nijika Natsume rushes over to check on them, while one of the guys groans about triggering a trap right before the boss room. He slams the ground in frustration, knowing that if they fail this mission, they're getting kicked out of the guild. He looks desperate, claiming they'll have literally nowhere else to go if they lose this job. Despite his injuries, he tries to crawl forward, obsessed with meeting his quota to get an enhanced weapon from the boss. The guy lets out a pained groan as he struggles to move another inch. Nijika tells him to stay put, as there's no way he can fight in that condition. She looks away, her eyes hidden in shadow, realizing she's the only one left who can finish the job. She tells the guys to leave it to her, she's going to take down the boss solo. The injured hunters reluctantly agree, putting their faith in her since they're useless now. Nijika readies her bow, determined to fight for their ideals no matter what. Yuma Ano watches from the back, looking a bit skeptical about the whole ideals speech. He leans over to inspect the nasty bear trap, just glad nobody's injuries were fatal. Nijika turns back, wondering why he's just standing around. She reminds him they're fighting for their lives and warns him not to get in her way. She claims she has a duty to fulfill, while Yuma just listens. Yuma repeats the word quota to himself, noting that in this world, meeting them is just common sense. He looks up at the bright sun, thinking about how everyone is striving for some ideal beyond the numbers. It reminds him of his old corporate job, where they made him shout out slogans every morning. Nijika walks toward the boss doors, mentioning the ideal her leader gave her, creating a new world. She's determined to give everything to live up to that, and Yuma follows closely behind. Yuma recalls seeing her guild, the Glorious Hawk, on the news and wonders if this level of loyalty is actually healthy. He remembers his old office, where nobody ever looked like they were actually enjoying themselves. They enter a massive chamber where giant spiked balls are swinging from the ceiling. The Treasure Guardian activates a 4-armed mechanical beast with a single glowing eye. It's got a creepy, wide-toothed grin carved into its metal face. Yuma notes that it's powered by ancient magic and will attack anyone who goes for the loot. Nijika is busy dodging traps while Yuma just stands there talking, and she snaps at him to stop being so carefree. The Guardian swings a massive spiked flail, smashing the floor right next to a golden bird statue. Nijika draws back an arrow, trying to find an opening amidst the chaos. A massive spiked ball swings right past her head. The room is so full of traps, she can't get a clean lock on the boss. She yells at Yuma to start attacking instead of just watching. Yuma analyzes the room, realizing there are too many traps in the way to use his boomerang effectively. He dodges a swinging mace, deciding he's got to use that method, but he needs to create an opening first. The boss is relentless, cycling through attacks and traps without stopping for a second. Nijika notices him mumbling to himself and gets even more frustrated. The Guardian looms over her, its green eye glowing intensely as it prepares to strike. A massive energy tears through the air, and Nijika barely has time to react. She hits the ground hard, coughing up dust. The boss's power is way beyond what she expected. The Guardian stands tall over her, its massive shadow completely covering her. Nijika struggles to push herself up, telling herself she has to do it. Suddenly, Yuma scoops her up and leaps out of the way just as the Guardian smashes the floor where she was. Nijika is furious, yelling at Yuma to put her down and stop interfering with her fight. She's desperate to prove herself and fight for the ideal her guild stands for, no matter the risk. Yuma ignores the complaining and keeps running as the Treasure Guardian looms over them. He spots a chance and throws a projectile while still carrying Nijika. The hit connects directly with the Guardian's face, momentarily staggering the mechanical beast. Despite the blow, the giant is still coming, forcing Yuma to keep sprinting with Nijika on his back. Nijika hasn't stopped screaming, accusing him of running away and demanding to be let go so she can fight. The wizard's spirit companion pops up to laugh at the chaos, while Yuma tells her to just sit tight and watch. They make a break for the exit, successfully baiting the Guardian into a chase. The monster charges after them through the doorway, completely focused on its targets. Nijika is terrified that the beast is gaining on them, but Yuma's not sweating it at all. He points out that the Guardian is programmed to be relentless against anyone who touches the treasure. Yuma smirks, finally reaching the exact spot he was aiming for. Suddenly, the Guardian steps right onto a massive trap that Yuma had tampered with earlier. As the monster roars in agony, Yuma explains he modified the dungeon's traps while they were moving. He gives a satisfied grin. It's only fair to use a trap to catch the one guarding them. The Treasure Guardian towers over them, its single green eye glowing with energy. That eye is the source of all its mana. Nijika Natsume suggests a joint attack to break through its thick armor, and Yuma Ano is actually down to follow her lead for once. The monster unleashes a massive blast of energy. The two lunge into action, but they end up bumping right into each other mid-dodge. The wizard spirit companion starts barking at them for their terrible coordination. The Treasure Guardian slams its hand down right where they were just standing. The floor shatters under the weight of the blow. Yuma shouts for Nijika to hit it now. Nijika takes aim and lets an arrow fly. It's a direct hit right in the center of the glowing eye. The massive metal golem finally crumbles into pieces. The two take a second to catch their breath. The wizard spirit companion isn't sure if they're a dream team or a total disaster. Yuma just jumped 4 levels, finally hitting the requirements for the new continent expedition. A bright light erupts from the boss's remains. Something rare just dropped. The two can't believe their luck. It's the demon-piercing rapier, a legendary weapon that ignores defense and shreds through golems. Yuma is stoked to have a legendary weapon in his hands. Now it's time to check the actual boss chest. Nijika cracks open the heavy lid. Inside is a Morning Star with a +1 upgrade. That makes 10 upgraded weapons for her, meeting her personal goal. She thanks Yuma for the help as they head out. Yuma asks if she actually had any fun during the fight. He thinks using a dungeon's own mechanics against it is way more exciting than a regular game. Nijika isn't exactly feeling the excitement of almost getting crushed. Yuma tells her she just needs to relax a bit more. He encourages her to just enjoy the ride. He waves her off, heading his own way for now. She clenches her fist, reminding herself she's doing this for Mr. Takashiro's ideals. She's still processing that someone can actually fight like Yuma. Back at HQ, the guild leader of Glorious Hawk looks over the reports. He hands Nijika her next objective, passing the selection exam for the new continent. The guild leader also tells her to keep a close eye on Yuma. The scene shifts to the massive field where the selection exam is being held. Yuma's in the middle of the crowd, hyped for what's coming next. An official on stage announces the start of the selection exam. He mentions how the world is facing a major crisis now that dungeons have appeared. The key lies in this mysterious new continent that never existed in the original game. The speaker explains that the new continent is full of unknowns, and the risk of danger is incredibly high. They can't afford any mistakes when making contact with whatever lives there. 10 individuals will be selected based on their mental, technical, and physical prowess to join the expedition team. The selection consists of 3 trials, a written exam, a gathering exam, and finally, a mock battle. But before anything else, they have to form pairs of 2. The exam starts by choosing who you'll fight alongside. Yuma Ano is taken aback by the sudden announcement. He wasn't expecting a partner requirement right out of the gate. The clock is ticking. They only have 5 minutes to find a partner, or they're disqualified. Negotiation and quick judgment are part of the test. Yuma knows that picking the right teammate is crucial for the entire exam, but he doesn't have time to be picky. He spots a short player and tries to approach him, but the guy just shoots him down immediately. The chibi player, Kyosuke Narumi, sees Yuma's gamer job and scoffs. He tells him he's not good enough to team up with someone like him. Yuma tries to find someone else, but it's not looking good as players already start grouping up. He spots a familiar face in the crowd and decides to shoot his shot. He taps the guy on the shoulder, but the man just looks at him like he's a piece of trash. He doesn't think a nobody like Yuma should even be talking to him. Yuma's starting to sweat as the rejection keeps piling up. The man, Teppei Shimada, is more interested in his camera and his viewers than helping a gamer like Yuma. The announcer yells out that there's only 1 minute left. Yuma starts to panic. If he doesn't find someone in 60 seconds, his journey ends right here. He can't just pick a random person, but he's running out of choices. Just as he's about to lose hope, someone calls out to him, asking to form a pair. He turns around to see Nijika Natsume standing there, looking as sharp as ever. He's shocked to see her again, but Nijika just introduces herself properly, confirming she's with the Glorious Hawk Guild. Yuma is beyond relieved. He was dangerously close to being disqualified before she stepped in. He accepts her offer with a huge grin, saying he's looking forward to working with her. Nijika walks away with a smirk, but she's not just doing this to be nice. She plans on observing Yuma during the exam and using him for her own goals. For her, everything is for the sake of Takashiro's ideals. The next phase of the journey kicks off with a room full of hopefuls, sweating over a written exam. Yuma Ano looks like he's already checked out, chewing on his pencil while the clock ticks down. Nijika Natsume isn't looking too happy with whatever she's reading, while Yuma just tries to look busy. The results are in, and the stakes are high. If you aren't in the top 20, you're out. Yuma lets out a huge sigh of relief. It was close, but they managed to squeeze through. They landed right at 19th place, just barely staying in the game. Nijika is fuming though. She was sure her high score would carry them, but Yuma's performance clearly dragged them down. Turns out, Yuma was just picking the answers that sounded the most fun. He's lucky she doesn't kill him right there. The crowd starts whispering as a couple of top-tier players catch everyone's eye. Nijika recognizes them immediately. It's the Crimson Blade duo, 2 rising stars already being scouted for sponsorships. The duo, Kiria Soma and Shino Izuchi, walk by with the confidence of people who just took first place on the exam. Nijika warns Yuma to stay sharp. The competition is on another level, and they can't afford any more mistakes. Yuma tries to keep it light, but he can tell Nijika is dead serious about what's coming next. The group is moved to the next venue, the Cave of Forgotten Time, a dungeon known for messing with your head. The mission is simple but dangerous. Find and bring back 3 rare gems hidden deep within the cave's confusing tunnels. They only have 2 hours to get it done, and the clock is already running. As everyone charges in, the announcer reminds them that this place is crawling with monsters. The team split up, disappearing into the dark, damp limestone tunnels. Other players are already on edge, moving with extreme caution as they scan for any sign of trouble. Yuma and Nijika get lucky early on, spotting a glowing orb embedded high up in a rock face. They snag the first one. 1 down, 2 to go. Nijika's relieved they're off to a good start, but she's already looking for the next one. Yuma notices a strange glowing vein running along the cave wall. He realizes the light gets stronger the deeper it goes, almost like a trail leading straight to the source. He calls Nijika over, confident he's found a shortcut to their next target. Sure enough, another gem is pulsing with light at the end of the tunnel. Nijika is genuinely impressed. He actually found it. Yuma draws his blade, ready to crack open the barrier and take the prize. But they aren't alone. The Crimson Blade duo steps out from the shadows, having followed the same path. Instead of picking a fight, Kiryu-soma just smiles and concedes, saying they found it first. He's taking his team elsewhere. Nijika is stunned. She didn't expect a top player to be such a gentleman about a first-come, first-served resource. With the competition out of the way, Yuma shatters the barrier with a quick strike. Nijika catches the gem as it falls. That's 2 gems in the bag. They're making great time. At this rate, they'll finish the exam with plenty of room to spare. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the cave, Kyosuke Narumi and Kippe Shimada are having a bit of a disagreement. Shimada is busy complaining about being stuck with a scruffy old guy instead of a cool warrior partner. He doesn't even notice the glowing jellyfish-like monster floating right behind him. It hits him with a massive jolt of electricity, leaving the little guy fried and screaming for help. Instead of helping immediately, Kyosuke is just filming the whole thing, laughing as his partner panics. He finally decides to step in, teasing Shimada for being so helpless. Kyosuke slams a massive riot shield down, blocking the monster's next attack with ease. Shimada is exhausted from the shock, but at least he's alive. Kyosuke stands there looking completely unbothered. The cameraman winks at his partner. He was just hoping to get some good footage before things got too serious. Kyosuke Narumi is still getting a kick out of his partner's reaction, calling Shimada's taking damage face pure gold. Shimada isn't in the mood for jokes, complaining that they haven't found any of the required gems yet. He stares miserably at the single orb they've managed to find, wondering if there's a faster way to finish this. Narumi is starting to lose track of their position in the cave, warning his partner that they're on track for elimination. This sends Shimada into a full-on tantrum, rolling around on the ground and screaming about how much he hates this. But then, his expression shifts to something much darker and more desperate as he plots a way to win. Narumi hears someone approaching and signals for Shimada to quiet down. The two of them huddle together, whispering a plan as the sounds of other participants draw closer. Narumi flashes a predatory grin and a thumbs up. They're about to set their trap in motion. Nearby, Yuma is focused on the task at hand, unaware of the eyes watching him from the shadows. Suddenly, a scream echoes through the tunnel. Yuma and Nijika stop in their tracks as they hear someone in trouble. They see a player being swarmed by glowing electric monsters, seemingly helpless and in pain. Without hesitation, Yuma shouts that they have to help and charges toward the danger. He draws his blade as he runs, ready to cut through the monsters and save the stranded player. They manage to drive the creatures off, and Narumi pants heavily, thanking them for the rescue. Nijika is just glad they made it in time, but Yuma notices something is off and asks where the guy's partner is. He doesn't have to wait long for an answer, as Shimada creeps out from behind them with a sneaky look in his eye. Shimada locks onto his target, waiting for the perfect split second to strike. He activates a skill and blurs into motion, darting right between the two of them. A system message pops up for quick steal. Shimada just swiped their gems right out from under their noses. Nijika realizes what happened a second too late, screaming at the little thief to give them back. But the victim they just saved was part of the plan too. Narumi leaps away with a burst of speed. The sudden force of their departure sends Yuma and Nijika crashing to the cave floor. Narumi laughs, shouting a nice job to his partner as they make their getaway. The two of them look down from a high ledge, mocking the duo they just scammed. They wave goodbye, bragging about how they'll be clearing the exam while leaving the dumb prey behind. Nijika is absolutely livid, unable to believe someone would actually use a steal skill on other participants. Yuma looks on in shock as the thieves disappear. If they don't find more gems fast, they're out of the exam. Yuma reaches down to help Nijika up a steep rock ledge. He pulls her up and urges her to keep moving so they can catch up to the rest of the group. Yuma suddenly stops and signals for Nijika to stay back. Just ahead, Shimada is sprawled on the ground with his small companion as 3 massive crystal golems surround them. One of the jagged monsters looms over the pair, its crystalline body glowing with energy. Nijika is skeptical, wondering if this is just another trick to steal their gear. The little guy begs them for help, swearing that this time it's for real. Yuma takes one look at the situation and decides they can't just walk away. He tells Nijika he'd rather risk being tricked than let them die if they're actually in trouble. Yuma activates a skill, and a glowing rapier manifests in his hand. Yuma and Nijika stand ready to face the golems, the gamer looking far too relaxed for a fight. The companion is stunned that Yuma still wants to believe in them. Yuma has that smug smirk on his face. He's clearly having a good time. The little guy is speechless at how cool the gamer looks in action. Yuma charges, but his first strike barely leaves a scratch on the golem's hard exterior. The companion warns him that even Shimada couldn't dent these things. Yuma realizes he's brought the wrong tool for the job. He quickly swaps to the magic-piercing rapier, a weapon designed specifically to shred golems. Nijika draws her bow, shouting that she'll draw its attention. She peppers the monster with arrows to keep it distracted. Yuma uses the opening to drive his new rapier straight into the golem's body. The crystal starts to crack and crumble under the pressure. He realizes the specialized weapon is working perfectly. Yuma continues the assault, dancing around the monster's heavy swings. But more golems are closing in from the sides. One of them goes for the defenseless pair on the ground. Yuma narrowly avoids a strike as he focuses on his target. Suddenly, Shimada gets back up and delivers a powerful blow to the golem's back. Shimada grits his teeth, furious that he let his guard down for even a second. Yuma delivers the final strike, shattering the last of the golems. With the threat gone, Yuma offers a hand to the trembling companion. The little guy is in total awe, calling him Big Bro Gamer. He apologizes for the trickery and vows to follow Yuma for the rest of his life. Nijika isn't buying it, crossing her arms and calling him shameless. Yuma picks up a glowing purple gem left behind by the golems. He notes that the monsters were actually being powered by these gems. Nijika realizes they now have all 3 gems needed for the exam. They head back toward the exit as the time limit for the test runs low. At the finish line, the guild leader of Glorious Hawk announces the 12 pairs who passed the collection exam. Nijika celebrates their victory, glad to be moving on to the next round. Nearby, 2 other players whisper about a girl who's crying nearby. Apparently, her partner was killed by a monster while they were separated, a grim end to the exam for some. The Crimson Blade leader and the Hammer Girl stand over a girl who's completely broken by grief. They feed her a lie, saying they tried their best to save her partner, but simply arrived too late. Her partner's body lies nearby, crushed under the weight of something far more massive and precise than a local monster. As he bows his head in a fake apology, the Crimson Blade leader can't help but let out a sadistic smirk, revealing that this wasn't a failed rescue, but a cold-blooded murder for sport. A massive wooden gate looms over the players, illuminated by flickering torches as they prepare for the trial ahead. The announcement echoes through the hall. The final exam is officially starting, and the tension in the crowd is through the roof. A proctor raises a finger, reminding everyone that, out on the new continent, their own strength is the only thing they can count on. The mission is clear. Enter the dungeons and take down the bosses known as the 4 Beast Generals. It's not just about winning. The system will track everything from damage dealt to accuracy to determine the top performers. Nijika looks worried. These generals are meant for level 30 players, and she knows they're nowhere near that level yet. While everyone else is busy prepping, Yuma spots fresh red blood on a nearby blade. The monsters around here don't have red blood, which makes the 2 players standing nearby look incredibly suspicious. The group gathers before the massive doors leading into the 4 Beast Generals' dungeon. The Crimson Blade leader steps forward and invites anyone brave enough to join them in the Room of Fire. Nijika whispers to Yuma that they should play it safe and start with weaker enemies first to level up. She's clearly hesitant about jumping into a high-level fight with people they don't even know. But Yuma isn't listening. He raises his hand and volunteers for the team without a second thought. He walks right up to the leader and tells him they'll go together, much to Nijika's shock. Yuma gives him a cold stare, wanting to see firsthand what these veterans are really up to. The Crimson Blade leader just smiles, saying he's interested in seeing what kind of methods a newbie like Yuma has. They enter the arena and come face to face with Forza, a massive fire beast radiating intense heat. The duo isn't even breaking a sweat, confident that the beast is no match for their usual tactics. The Crimson Blade Hammer girl charges in headfirst, swinging her giant weapon with everything she's got. The beast manages to dodge, but she doesn't seem bothered by the miss at all. It was all part of the plan. The attack triggers a stun break, leaving the general completely defenseless. The leader tells the others to stay back while he moves in to finish the job. With a single blaze edge strike, he cuts the massive fire beast in 2. He sheathes his sword with a sigh, acting like taking down a boss general was a total cakewalk. Yuma watches them closely. Even though they just won, neither of them looks like they're actually having any fun. Nijika is blown away by their coordination, noting that they didn't even leave an opening for anyone else to help. But the mood shifts instantly when the leader turns his blade on Yuma, pinning him back with a sudden strike. He's got a predatory smirk on his face, finally dropping the act. Yuma isn't even surprised. He'd already pegged them as player killers from the start. The Hammer Girl starts giggling, excited that the main event is finally getting started. Yuma asks point blank if they were the ones responsible for the deaths during the gathering exam too. The guy just shrugs, asking what's so fun about killing boring monsters when they can hunt people instead. The girl looks downright ecstatic, admitting that seeing the terror on her victims' faces gives her shivers. The leader tells him he should have come prepared, since danger is a constant on the new continent anyway. He thinks that since the world has changed, they should be free to play however they want. Yuma's wizard spirit companion pops out, furious that these bastards are treating people like toys. Yuma is disgusted, unable to believe how carefree they are about stealing people's futures. He snaps at them, shouting that their twisted version of playing is nothing like the real thing. To him, playing is about opening up new possibilities and expanding what's possible for everyone. A bright, golden light begins to emanate from Yuma's hand as he prepares to strike back. He lunges forward, meeting the leader's sword with a blinding flash of energy. His eyes narrow as the system confirms it. He's officially activated his mimicry skill. Yuma's mimicked blade sparks against the Crimson Blade leader's own sword as they clash. The leader is intrigued by the rare skill, but he's far from intimidated by the newcomer's trick. He reminds Yuma that gear isn't everything, when their base stats are on completely different levels. A heavy strike connects, sending Yuma skidding across the floor in a cloud of dust. The leader breaks into a twisted laugh, savoring the look of fear and struggle on Yuma's face. In another part of the room, the Crimson Blade Hammer girl has already pinned Nijika to the ground. She taunts Nijika with a sadistic smile, asking if the pain of being crushed is to her liking. The leader stares down at Yuma with pure contempt, asking what he plans to do now that he's cornered. Yuma is pinned down, a massive blade hovering right over his head. Things are looking pretty bad for the big bro. Behind a pillar, Shimada and the chibi player are watching the whole thing go down. They only wanted to sneak in for a quick boss kill, but they've stumbled into a nightmare. Shimada can't believe what he's seeing. This guy isn't a hero. He's a straight-up sadistic psycho. The little guy is shaking. He knows if they try to help and fail, they're both dead meat. The chibi player decides it's time to bail, apologizing to Yuma's future grave as he makes a run for it. Down on the ground, Yuma tries to talk some sense into his attacker. He warns the Crimson Blade leader that if the examiners find out, they're finished. The leader just laughs in his face. He's already thinking 10 steps ahead. He reaches out like he's explaining something obvious to a child. Who's the world going to believe? A couple of nobodies, or the most popular duo in the game? Hearing that triggers something deep inside Shimada. That arrogant look is all too familiar. He's been here before, back in his days as a professional MMA fighter. He won his biggest match fair and square, but his opponent couldn't handle the loss. That popular loser lied to everyone, claiming Shimada won with a dirty, illegal move. Everyone believed the idol over the truth. Shimada was branded a cheater and forced to retire. That's why he started streaming. If he couldn't be a hero, he'd at least be interesting for the views. He became a player just to get content for his channel, chasing clicks on the new continent. He thought he'd stopped caring about justice, and had just accepted that life is a farce. But seeing this guy pull the same popular villain act makes him sick to his stomach. Shimada steps out into the light, leaving the chibi player totally confused. The leader is still busy, enjoying his little power trip over Yuma. He's ready to start carving Yuma up piece by piece, telling him not to pass out yet. He wants to hear him scream, enjoying every second of the torture. But their little party is suddenly interrupted. This guy's dark side is way too much. Shimada is standing right there with his gimbal camera, capturing the whole ugly truth live. The leader's cool facade cracks instantly. He didn't expect anyone to be here. The chibi player admits they've been tailing them the whole time. They aren't running away anymore. They're here to pay back the favor to Big Bro Gamer. Yuma looks up, surprised to see help actually arrived. The leader is annoyed they're ruining his fun, so the hammer girl steps up to handle them. She lunges forward, swinging that massive hunk of iron at the intruders. But Shimada isn't moving. He drops into a stance and activates shield lock. He's been waiting for a chance to test his real strength against a heavy hitter like her. She's stunned that some random streamer managed to tank a direct hit from her sledge. Nijika uses the distraction to finally catch her breath and get back up. She knows this is her only chance to turn the tables on these psychos. She starts pouring every ounce of power into a max-charged attack. The chibi player grins. He's got his own role to play in this counterattack. He tosses a bomb, activating rogue smoke to blind the enemies. The thick haze gives Yuma the opening he needs to finally break free from the night. Chaos erupts in the hallway as the group finally starts fighting back as a team. Nijika's arrow is glowing with lethal energy. It's time for the burst arrow to end this. Nijika releases the shot. The burst arrow streaks across the battlefield like a comet. It connects with a massive explosion, blowing the hammer girl away in a flash of light. The knight leader starts to panic, retreating as his partner gets taken out of the fight. He goes to reach for his weapon, only to realize his hand is grasping at thin air. The chibi player just pulled off the ultimate heist with his quick steel skill, grinning like a madman. He tosses the knight's own blade over to Yuma. Time for a little poetic justice. Yuma grabs the hilt and activates his special skill to prepare for the finish. The weapon pulses with a divine, golden light as the evil slayer ability kicks in. The fake hero can't even move, frozen by the sudden shift in power. Yuma delivers one decisive strike, sending the leader crashing into the floor. The bully is finally face down in the dirt where he belongs. Yuma tells him his days of playing hero are officially over. The group leaves the trash behind and moves on to the next floor. With the tension gone, the four of them actually make a pretty solid team. They combine their skills to take down one of the dungeon's final bosses together. Back in the city, the representative announces the results of the grueling exam. The names flash on the screen. Yuma and Nijika made the cut for the investigation team. They celebrate the news, barely able to believe they actually pulled it off. Yuma and Nijika share a high five, feeling like they can handle whatever the new continent throws at them. But far away from the celebration, a much darker conversation is taking place in a high-end office. The blue-haired guild leader has his eyes on Yuma. He wants him under total control. He tells Nijika to use a specific opening during the investigation to finish the job. He reveals a sinister doll called the Eye of Mitra. One long look at this thing, and your free will is gone. Nijika is absolutely horrified. She can't believe he's asking her to brainwash her friend. The guild leader doesn't care about her morals. He claims it's all for the sake of their higher ideals. Trapped between her guild and her conscience, Nijika can only bow her head and accept the dark mission. Yuma and Nijika arrive at the massive trading event hall. The place is packed with players looking to buy and sell gear. Yuma's a bit surprised by just how many people showed up. He wants to sort out his inventory before they head to the new continent, but he warns Nijika to keep her guard up, since these events are full of scammers. Turns out, he's a little too late. Nijika's already holding a piece of absolute junk. She's devastated. A heads up 5 minutes ago would have been great. She explains that she met a merchant who seemed like a genuinely nice guy. He showed her this amazing Cloak of the Gale with high-grade stats, and he was willing to let it go for just 70,000 yen. Between the agility buffs and the condition, she thought she'd found the bargain of a lifetime. She handed over the cash on the spot, and the guy was all smiles. He told her the item was in her inventory and quickly closed up shop. But when she checked, all she found was a ragged cloak worth 500 yen. She's panicking, realizing she just threw away a fortune for a literal rag. She tries to find him, but the merchant has already vanished into thin air. Yuma puts the pieces together. She got hit with a classic bait and switch. Nijika's in tears. She blew all her money and has nothing to show for it. Yuma tells her to dry her eyes. They're just going to get it all back. He activates a skill. It's time to show the scammer why you don't cross a gamer. He tells her to just sit tight and watch him work. He scans the market and quickly tracks down the merchant's new location. Yuma approaches the guy, acting like another clueless customer. He asks if the guy would be interested in a trade, playing the idiot perfectly. The merchant's practically laughing, thinking he's landed another easy mark. Yuma pulls out a piece of wooden debris, saying it's all he has to trade. But thanks to his bluff skill, the wood looks like a legendary ancient golden sword. The merchant is floored. He thinks Yuma is the biggest idiot on the planet for trading this. He tries to play it cool, acting like he's doing Yuma a favor by considering it. He offers up a stack of high-value items, desperate to secure the legendary blade. Yuma acts surprised and asks if the guy is sure he wants to trade all that. The merchant points to the real Cloak of the Gale, a thunderhorn, and a spirit stone. Yuma agrees and makes the trade, thanking the guy for being so generous. The merchant is smirking, convinced he just scammed a total beginner out of a treasure. But as soon as the deal is sealed, the golden light starts to flicker and fade. The legendary sword dissolves, turning right back into a useless piece of wood. The merchant looks like he just saw a ghost. Yuma just sits there, casually playing with his new spirit stone like it's nothing. Nijika steps out from behind him, looking ready to throw hands. Yuma explains that arrogant people are the easiest to trick because they're always looking for an opening. The merchant realizes he's been completely outclassed. He checks Yuma's status and sees the job title that explains everything. Gamer. Yuma is caught off guard. This guy actually knows what a gamer is. The lowly tester realizes he was never in control. He was outplayed by a legendary hidden job. He admits he was involved in the production of the game. He knows the secrets most players don't. He explains that much of what's happening was never planned for implementation. It was all meant to be scrapped. Hidden dungeons and legendary jobs like Yuma's were just beta elements that never made the final cut. Word among the former testers is that the new continent everyone is talking about is just a scrapped map. Yuma realizes this journey might lead to real answers about the world's broken code. The tester bows out, acknowledging that a legendary gamer is the only one fit for such a place. He returns Nijika's money and lets her keep the high-grade items as a parting gift. He waves them off, warning them to be careful in the unstable lands ahead. Yuma thanks him and promises to enjoy the adventure to the absolute fullest. Finally, the day arrives. They board a massive expedition ship destined for the new continent. It's a land of complete mystery, calling out to every player with a sense of wonder. In a world gripped by chaos, the hope of discovery is the only thing driving people forward. Yuma watches the horizon, eager to see the new world with his own eyes. But in a high-tech office, the guild leader of Glorious Hawk is looking at the same map. Yuma dreams of encountering new cultures and people that don't exist in the known world. Meanwhile, the guild leader only sees resources and lands ripe for corporate control. One hand reaches for the light of discovery, while the other clenches into a greedy fist. While Yuma looks for a game to enjoy, the leader is planning total exploitation. As the sun sets over the ocean, Yuma starts to feel a strange tension in the air. Nijika reflects on how much they fought already, feeling like the real adventure is just beginning. Secretly, she stares at the Eye of Mitra doll, remembering her mission to use it on Yuma. Suddenly, a violent tremor shakes the entire ship, catching Yuma and his spirit companion off guard. A panicked sailor comes running through the corridors, screaming about terrible news. Monsters have appeared in the water, and they're already attacking. Before anyone can react, a massive, scaly tail snatches the sailor right off the deck. A gargantuan sea serpent towers over the vessel, ready to drag everyone into the depths.